Welcome back to Rusty Deals here at Minnesota is Rust. We have a couple of project cars we're looking at today from Marketplace. First up, 1996 F250 Crew Cab 7.3, 4250, 230,000 miles, automatic. So that should be a good, reliable pickup. Let's see what Minnesota has done to it. Here we get a picture of the back, and right away you can see the bottom of that tailgate is telling us that Minnesota is here, right? Tailgate's also got some damage on the passenger side there, not too uncommon. Nice view of the front here. I kind of like these pre-Super Duty body is still the square body or whatever you want to call it for the Ford. Nice looking pickup, 4-door. See a little bit more rust along the rockers there on this kind of quarter view. We got a front view here. Not an expert on these trucks, but it looks like the headlights have been replaced. Maybe they look kind of trajectory, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that's a sign of anything else, but looks okay from the front. And we spin around to the passenger side. You could see the rust in that long box is pretty extensive. You can see that frame, nice orange color there. If it hasn't had brakes and suspension, everything gone through, you know there's going to be rusty bolts, rusty parts, rusty brake lines, rusty gas lines. That's always fun. Driver's side, yep, there's your box again. So you know what's happening there. It is not that uncommon for this to be just fine for a whole bunch of miles just like that. But if some of those structural pieces where the bed bolts on is getting weak, then that's a problem there. Yep, power stroke there, your 7.3 IDI. Rusty quarter, or that lower fender there is rusty crusty, so you know underneath it's rustier, crustier, but just so you know what you're getting into there. Tires, tread looks putty deep. You know, how old are they? Hard to see if they're wearing square from kind of this odd angle picture, but I see inside there, looks like a fresh brake line there, are pretty silver colored, so maybe that's a good sign things have been replaced. Under the hood, or first picture under the hood, right away you see that fresh alternator, and the battery on this side looks pretty dang new also, so that's a good sign. There's been some upkeep going on there, not just passing it on to the next guy. And there's a nice kind of head-on shot. I don't see anything too terrible looking here. You know, look at the rubber. Does it look swollen? Look at the, you know, behind the motor along the firewall where some of the insulation is there. Is that tore up? Is that ripped up? Has it been mouse chewed? Interior, pretty standard, pretty plain interiors on these years. Even the fancier, you know, XLT Lariat, or whatever the high package was. I don't know, it's not a bench, so it's a little bit fancier than whatever was there. Headliner looks a little bit rough. Dash, pretty beat up, so I wonder if this was, I don't know, maybe it was from somewhere where it was sunnier, where the sun really beat on that, or if this was just parked every day of its life outside. That's kind of what it looks like. Standard HVAC controls, radio controls. I think every Taurus, Mustang, everything from the same era looked all about the same. Seat's going to need a little repair there. Then again, probably feels just fine. Drive it that same way for another 50,000 miles until it really bothers you. But definitely been lots of in and out, and getting the work done there. So so new front brake lines. We got that. Aftermarket headlights, yep, and new batteries. So that's brake lines is a lot of money and a lot of labor to replace. And the headlights, Amazon specials, batteries, $150 each side. Not too bad. So if that's for you, not really a project, but Minnesota's Rust done some fun stuff there. Moving on, 78 and a 74. We got 3/4 and a full ton. So the white one has a 351M, so your 351 modified, real similar to your 400. A little bit different stroke, if I remember. And then your, of course, based off of your Cleveland with the canted valves. So we got a dually, we got a big axle in the back. It looks kind of straight. It looks like there's a little kink right where the shocks bolt, but I'm not an expert on these frames. Maybe that's just the way they're supposed to be. Yeah, that looks like it's been, someone's kind of been getting to work on it. It's not so full of garbage sitting on it, but clearly there's dust. You can see the cat footprints climbing up and down. Ask me how I know about that. But it could be a good starter for somebody. You got the Hearst shifter on there. I don't see a third pedal. I can't remember if it was an automatic or a manual. But you got the classic interior right there. A little bit fancier than just a plain vinyl bench seat, so that's not too shabby. You know, a bunch of garbage sitting in there, so who knows. There's your speedometer. Of course, it's just a 5-digit, 20,757. Most likely 100, maybe 200, but who knows. Back in the 70s and 80s, you didn't see a ton of miles on trucks. People had a car they drove to, so that's just what I've seen at least. Here's the other Project One. Boy, there's a lot of scrap metal in there, in the bed at least. Maybe there's some good parts there. We got some good pups. Checking out the situation there. Taking a look at the bedside on the driver's side, it's pretty square. Passenger side looks a little bit better. If this is your body style here, your bump side, not your step side here, what some people refer to these. Tail light lenses cost real money, so the fact that the plastic is there is very helpful. Below that looks pretty rotten, and I wouldn't expect anything else from here. So there's the dually again. I don't know, at least that looks like it had been on the road maybe not super long ago. Had to look at the plates and see when they were last tagged or with the tabs on there. But missing a headlight, hood's sitting crooked, need a bed. I believe the one ad said this one was a 390 maybe. But that, hard to see here, probably a 360. Can I see the intake going to the valve covers? Yeah, I don't see the canted valves on a 400, so, or a 351M. This one, 71 613. So pretty plain Jane when it came to instrumentation on these years Fords and pretty much everything else. Dodges and Chevys, they didn't tell you a lot. So you see a lot of the aftermarket gauges hanging underneath the center by your transfer case levers and all that. So the 78 and the 74, so $1,500 for both. I don't know, one's got no title and one's got a locked up motor, so you might be looking at just parting it out or a scrap price, but $1,500 seems a little steep to me. Last but not least, 65 Mustang Coupe. This, you see this a lot, right? So here's a guy that I tore it down, haven't been able to put it back together. I have $4,000 in sheet metal, all the exterior sheet metal included, master bolt kit, which is super handy, new hood, roof, trunk, door shells, fenders, quarters, engine bay aprons, a bunch more. Had a 206, but that was sold. So the guy sold the straight 6 out of it, which, I mean, they're nice driving cars. I had a 67 Fairlane with a straight 6 200. Ran fine. It was slow, but it was reliable. Never burned any oil. The C4 was another thing, because that was old. Yeah, so here's somebody's project. So for whatever reason, they took it all apart and they were going to work on it. And I really like what David Freiberger has been talking about the last couple of years. By the way, he's got a new YouTube channel, or bringing back his old one, so go check that out. Is that get it running. Don't blow it up. Don't take it into pieces, because that's where it will sit forever. So here, this person here had it sitting on plywood there, probably because it was leaking all over the floor, and I bet there's oil all over the floor under that plywood, if you ask me. Pretty standard 65 coupe, drum brake front and rear, probably an 8-inch in the back. The big thing would be how rusty is it. These are unibody cars. when you get rust in the structural components, you're putting a lot of work into it. I've got a 69. That's going to need a lot of work, but that's a 69 fastback. And so when you're done with the work, I got a 69 fastback. When you're done with the work with this, you got a 66 coupe. These, I don't want to say it, are a dime a dozen, but they made hundreds of thousands of 65 and 66 coupes. And you can find them pretty cheap that are all together, that are running, that are driving for, I mean, not $2,000, but or $4,000, whatever this guy wanted, $2,000, down from $3,500. That's right, $4,000 in sheet metal. So I don't know if you get kind of over your head in a situation. If you're not a fabricator, not a welder, not a fabricobbler, buying sheet metal for a rusty car just empties your bank account, doesn't get your car any closer to the road. $2,000's a little steep. If the guy will come down, maybe not bad. If you had another 65 that you were working on, might be not a bad parts car. With that being said, thank you much. Minnesota is Russ.